From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hi, I'm your host, Tim Green, and welcome to Around Foxborough. Tonight we have with us Peter Culinari and Andrew Molesky. How are you guys tonight?
Pretty good.
Awesome. You guys are from the Oak Hill Country Day Camp. Do you guys want to tell us a little bit about the camp and how it all got started?
Well, I'd been working at a place called Sharon Country Day Camp over in Walpole for 17 years, and I had been playing sports and stuff and teaching around this area. So I figured it'd be a great thing for kids, you know, to just get a camp together. I never thought I'd be able to build one, but I had this experience with Camp Peter Pan. It closed down, and it was awesome because I was able to rebuild it. I got some financing and rebuilt this from a basic dump into a nice camp again.
Okay.
Like 15 acres of land, and it's good.
How'd you get involved, Andrew?
I married into it.
Okay.
So I met my wife, Aphrodite, back in 2003, and she had been an employee there and a camper. When I was a kid, from about 84 to 93, I was a camper at other various camps in the state. One at Noble's Day Camp in Dedham, and then later on at Camp Westwood in Stoughton. And I always loved camp. And so eventually, I kind of conned my way to hang out a little bit, and I was able to help out. And it kind of just, one thing led to another, and I'm able to help them out and run the camp and bring some of my skills to the to the camp. And it's just, for me, it's just a happy place to be. In my other life, I do insurance sales.
Okay.
And
a little different.
It's a little different. I joke around all the time that one of those jobs I could put on my gravestone, the other one, insurance
Right.
sales, insurance sales. It's fine, it's necessary. But, for me, helping kids have a fun summer and have an old school kind of experience, that's like priceless. So that's how I got involved.
Peter, I think you actually brought a picture of your lovely wife, right? When she was at camp.
Oh, yeah, as a matter of fact,
See that?
yeah, that's kind of cool. She was about 10,
Oh, was she there? 10?
maybe 10 years
10 or
old.
11, yeah.
Yeah, helping me all just tear down brush and
Oh, I can imagine.
build a camp. It was pretty funny.
I bet the whole family built it.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty funny.
Can you guys maybe walk us through a typical day at Oak Hill?
Well, basically, I'm kind of pulling back and letting my daughter and Andrew run it because it's just awesome, But it's all like just good old-fashioned fun, No television, no, there's no stuff like that. It's all just outdoors, playing sports. We got 3 swimming pools and baseball fields, street hockey courts, and gymnastics, all sorts of stuff. It's just good place to have good old-fashioned fun, and just run around and no cell phones, just
No cell phones.
yeah,
No cell
just hanging out and having a good time,
Yeah, I'd say, I think that's an accurate description. I always tell people when they come down and visit the place that it's basically a time capsule, kind of a little land untouched by what I think most parents, and I'm a new father, I think it's a place that, a lot of parents struggle to find an experience for their kids that were like the experience they remember. But I think when most people, probably at least 35 and up, come down, it looks exactly like they saw in the movies or they went when they were a kid. And because it's no technology, it really is sports fundamentals, just learning to make friends and have good relationships. I think it's kind of like a hidden gem. In an average day, all the campers arrive with their parents, they drop off and they go in their old school bunks. It looks like something right out of Camp Crystal Lake,
Yep.
and it's got that look. And when they drop off, every morning we have a flag that we raise, an American flag. The kids clamor; they all want to raise the flag with us. We play reveille, and then we send them on their day. And as we mentioned, the day is going to consist of sports and all those things that we talked about. But yeah, I just think it's I think in a world of constant connectivity, it gives parents a chance to send their kids somewhere where they're only connected to other people the way we used to be.
Right.
So.
And you guys require 2 weeks of consistency. You have to go for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, Peter's always encouraged that.
Better,
Yeah.
you know, just so they get some friends, some continuity with swim lessons, you know, and just have fun, like old-fashioned fun. And we offer like 3-day programs, 4 days, 5 days, because some people, you know, they have vacation, or they have other things they do. I used to do 2 4-week sessions, but now I just, whatever works for them. You know,
Okay.
people have art camps or gymnastics camps,
Yeah.
and they're doing different things. But I think they like just the old-fashioned, because no one plays in a neighborhood anymore, you know, it's just the way it is, you know.
Right.
It's in the old days, you play kick the can and hide and go seek in your neighborhood. And
They're still playing kick the can.
really,
Now, you guys serve ages 4.5 to 13. How do you tailor the activities and maybe supervision across like that broad of a range?
Yeah, I mean, I think so when you're looking at like 4-year-olds, obviously they can't do the same, they don't have the same level of skill in certain sports. So a lot of their activities are going to involve, you know, playground type activities, which we have, of course. We have sandboxes and things like that tailor to that age group. Softball, you know, little bombardment games that they have, sort of like softball with the cotton almost, you know, and they love it. It's called bombardment. And of course, we have 3 pools at camp, and so even the pools are tailored based on age. So we have a pool that is 2 feet on the shallow end, 3 feet on the deep end. So you're looking at something that's tailored to the younger kids. And there's certain things that we do, like for instance, archery. You're not going to be doing archery at 4, but as you get older, you can graduate to things like that. So there really is something for everyone. We even have, you know, Oak Hill, where it's situated, and he mentioned earlier it's on 15 acres of land. Half of that land is, of course, camp and all carved out nice and manicured, and the other part we have woods and trails. And so nature is a very big part of the camp, and we have a Science and Nature program that we've had for many years, and so the type of things they do in that are science type experiments, very fun ones that you'd see back in the day. When I was a kid, there was a show called Mr. Wizard on Nickelodeon, and you know, and
Kind of model it after that, or?
Yeah, you kind of model it after that. But then there's also, you know, going on nature hikes and having the younger kids, you know, go on a treasure hunt and try to find me a big pine cone, point out a beetle, find a bird, these kind of things, and we have the land to be able to do it. So it's very focused, and even that kind of thing. When you get to the older kids, they'll do like rockets, and you get to the younger kids, you do things more like treasure hunts and things like that.
I think I have a 4.5-year-old.
Yeah.
They love that type of stuff.
Yeah. It's very, very focused.
and I actually have I have a preschool at the top of the camp. So before that, the preschools, and actually Affy runs my preschool, and they can get on the camp and kind of, you know, hang out there during the school year, and then all the girls that work at the preschool work at the camp as well. So
counselors.
The kids,
right.
And it's funny, I have a lot of girl counselors at the younger boys' ages, because, you know, kids have trouble changing and putting sunscreen on. I'd rather have girls do that, and then, you know, it's just much better when they have to help.
We're old school.
Yeah. And these girls are very athletic. Most of these girls are local, you know, they like the Cronus girls.
Yeah.
They play lacrosse, and they've
field
all got
hockey, yeah.
scholarships. And like Amanda Peck, I mean, this girl, gosh, she plays soccer. I mean, she's
down at University of Miami.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been really lucky. Peters was an athlete himself. He told you a little bit about that. He was a Cranberry League baseball player, even tried out for the Royals and everything. And so we've always managed to be lucky. We've hired athletes. On the guys' side and the girls' side, we've had a lot of varsity athletes, guys. A lot of them, you know, some of them go off, play real college ball. Some have even been drafted with Marlins, you know, majors. But a lot of them will play on club teams in college.
Yep.
So, but their point being, we have a lot of really good athletes. So, you know, the kids that come there ultimately end up learning with some kids that are pretty talented. So sports fundamentals is a big thing. It's a good thing to build confidence, you know.
Right.
You know, and it's not without the pressure of always having to win. So we're not.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question. Is
yeah.
how do you avoid that constant pressure of having to win?
It's a relaxed camp. I think it's not.
like, you know, how some camps have this color war, you know, it's like color war, and it's like maroon against white all summer long. I'm not doing it. It's a natural competitive anyway. Kids are going to actually be competitive whatever they do. whether it be baseball. But with the little kids, we could do like tennis, baseball, so they don't have that, striking out, worry about striking. They can hit a ball with a tennis racket, and they love it because they can run around the field and just play like regular baseball, but with a tennis ball. It's a lot of fun. Lead up games,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You'd mentioned the science and nature camp.
Yeah.
Can you give some more examples about some projects that campers have done?
Sure. There's one where, for instance, it's an old bubble experiment where we take like a kiddie pool, and you can use hula hoops, and you can make a very strong bubble material or liquid solution, and we actually, the kids can actually pull themselves into a bubble, And it seems like a simple thing, but they absolutely love it. Like who doesn't want to be in a bubble,
right.
We have some experiments using really, really safe stuff where you can make, that like foam insulation that you can spray in cracks and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a version of that we can make, and kids love watching it as this expands. Yeah. Those are examples. Even silly fun stuff like they have an ice maker. They learn how to create ice cream in a sphere. You can just shake it and do the emulsify. You can make ice cream, and then they get little flavorings.
Too. You might know Joe Cady. You know Miss Joe Cady?
No.
He's a science teacher in Cheyenne. He's two sons, John and Joe Cady Jr. But he taught science at the middle school, and I hired him 30 years ago to teach science for me. And he just left this year. It's his first year. He hasn't worked. I taught science when I graduated college, and he was my boss, and now I'm his boss. So it gets come full circle.
He was his science teacher.
Yeah,
right.
He was my science.
So we have longevity. He retired in his 80s, so
right.
But he handed the mantle down to one of our employees at the preschool, who's now going to be running the program, who had a focus in science in school, and it's exciting to have a new person on. It's sad to see an old person go.
Of course, yeah.
Because Oak Hill is that kind of place that people just stuck around for a very, very, very long time.
Right. It sounds like you're hiring the right people.
Yeah. We try to make sure that we get people that are going to be appropriate in their field, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of teachers, and I have a nurse always on duty. Actually, I have 3 different nurses.
Yeah, I've read that.
Like one of them was 2 of them teaching the nurses in Foxboro schools, and they have the summers off, so it's a great job for them.
Come work, right?
Yeah.
Work for you. That's great.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect. You mentioned 3 outdoor pools. You guys want to tell us a little bit more about the swim program?
Sure. Yeah.
Where's Affy?
Yeah,
hey, he's my CPO.
My wife, I'm the certified pool operator, so I get to be the chemist, But,
okay. Yep.
And that's a very important thing to have your pools with the right chemistry. But to tell you about the program, as I mentioned, we have 3 pools. Each advances in its height. Okay, so you've got a kiddie pool basically that's 15,000 gallons. It's 2 feet on the shallow end and 3 feet on the deep end. It's a great teaching pool
They're
for
both
young
20
kids.
by 40s,
Yeah.
But then we have a 25 by 60, which is the 3 to 8 foot pool,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in that little pool, you'll see a lot of kids just learning basic fundamentals, dunking underwater, learning to hold their breath, kicking, on the wall. You go up from there, and as you get a little bit older, you can go into what we call pool 2, and that pool is going to be about 4 feet across. It's a single height water, so the depth is always the same. That's actually a great pool we use for a lot of games. We do a lot of silly stuff, but we have certain games where we can string along little tubes with each other, and they have to try to sort of like Great American Warrior. They have to.
Oh yeah, I saw a picture.
Yeah, we try to go across it. They love that stuff, but that's also a great teaching pool. And then when you finally graduate to sort of advanced swimmer, you can get to we do a deep end test. So no child would be allowed to swim in the deep end of the largest pool without showing the lifeguards that they're able to demonstrate a certain level of swimming proficiency. And that's super important. There's been some lifeguard shortages in the last couple of years, certainly during COVID. We've been pretty blessed to have a lot of lifeguards at all times.
And we get a girl that actually works at the Y, and she's certified to she could certify my lifeguards. you
Oh,
know.
wow.
Yeah.
So and everyone, most people that work there, they're CPR trained and things
Yes.
like that?
Yep,
Okay.
they have to be CPR trained, and of course, pass the lifeguard test, which, as I get older, is getting a little more difficult. But, 12 laps seems easy until you realize 12 laps is both ways.
Right. Right.
So, but no, we're thorough, and every kid's goal eventually is to get up into that deep end, so they can do some
Of
cannonballs.
course. Well, you have the progression, right? And they're always
Yeah.
I'm sure when they're in that first pool, they're like, how do I do that Ninja Warrior?
Right.
But you know what's funny? Because they use some really cool games. Like they have these things like they'll throw some rings, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden the kids like go under the water to get the rings or to get these little coins, and they love it. And they learn how to go under water without just holding their breath. And this is some good ways to get them comfortable in the water. And it's funny how these parents love the fact that some of these kids come in, they don't know how to swim, and they leave after 8 weeks, and the parents like, wow, I can't believe it.
Right.
Batuka, my neighbor, I couldn't believe all of a sudden my son dove in the water. I jumped out of my chair like, oh my God, he comes up swimming. He never knew how to swim. It was so cool. It was awesome. It's nice when you hear that stuff. It's good,
I'm sure.
good feedback.
What do you see most families do? They go for 2 weeks? Do they go for a month? Or what do you see? Like, what's the most common thing that families tend to do?
It's a mix, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mix. We have a lot of what I would call sort of our, those VIP parents that have been going, they have a whole family, they all go 5 days a week, 8 weeks. When I was a camper, and a lot of us, if you're of a certain age, most camps only offered 2 sessions. You go for 4 weeks, you go for 8 weeks. You either go the first or the second half. But with the increase in, there's a big diversity in camps now. There's Minecraft camp. There's town camps. There's
That Stonehill camp's a big camp too. That's like a educational camp. It's like
they have math camp. They have camps for everything.
Yeah.
So it has broken up. Not all the kids are concentrated in one camp anymore. So you don't see necessarily one kid as often going 8 weeks or even 4 weeks. So we have families that'll do like week 1, week 2, week 7, right? And it's an 8-week program. But that's okay. But again, you mentioned earlier that we do encourage at least 2 weeks because it's about making friends,
right,
and learning to have that kind of camaraderie. And that's probably what makes camp fun. It's what made it fun for me. So just coming a couple days is tough. It's tough to really get anything accomplished. But I'd say it's a mix, 50-50 between those people that are still going to camp.
Yep.
And again, we do recognize that camp in general is not cheap. We are, of our type, one of the least expensive. But given the economy and everything else, we fully understand, which is why he went to flexible scheduling for a long time now.
Right.
So,
when you think back on summers at Oak Hill, are there any moments or traditions that best capture maybe the spirit of the community?
Well, we have different spirit weeks. Like
yeah.
we have Summerween, like when they do a Halloween in summertime.
Yeah.
The kids dress up, and it's really fun.
Yep.
And then, like rainy day activities, each bunk might do a skit, like
Talent shows.
Yeah, talent shows. And some of these kids have some really good talent. If you get them on a rainy day, that's a good thing. Having actually, it's fun to have a rainy day now and then. It just breaks up the monotony of the regular,
Right.
like 90-degree weather.
I think we're good at rainy days. And rainy days you would think would be like, I don't want to be at camp. But we manage, like you said, we'll do talent shows. We have a big tent that we do gymnastics in and a stage, and we'll let them prepare for the whole day. Let's see what your bunk has. They'll do little lip syncing things. They'll give us little concerts. They'll dance, and have a good time. But an all-time camp favorite is called Let's Make a Deal. And Let's Make a Deal is a classic game. We have a PA system, old school PA system, all throughout the camp so that we can talk
So
to
everybody
kids.
hears it.
Everybody
Yeah.
hears it. And basically, when it's a rainy day, because it's the best time to do it, we'll make a random list of, say, 40 things, 40 items. And each bunk, they're back. So if you picture the main office is in the front here, and then down, and there's a pine grove, and there's all the bunks. And all the bunks are asked, all right, let's make a deal. Bring me an item with the Red Sox symbol on it, right? And then what has to happen is one camper and their counselor have to run up to judges, and they have to be the first one to bring and show that item. They get a point. And we'll give them freeze pops and and stuff like that as a prize, but it's a point of pride. As the game progresses, it gets sillier and sillier. I mean, we've done crazy stuff like who has the dirtiest camper? Bring me the dirtiest camper. And in the middle of, you'll have a kid running around in mud, rolling in mud.
yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know if that's, should be edited out. I don't know if parents will love or hate that.
That's
I know,
great.
But
I'll never forget the time the kid and the parents called me. My son can't. I said, I'm really sorry. We had this thing. No, he came over and said he had the best day of his life. It poured all week. I mean, and it was so funny. One of the parents had taken a week off, and he said they came back and they rained, so they couldn't go to the beach. They were taking a vacation on the Cape. He goes, we couldn't go. All he had to do every day is go to a mall. He goes, my kid came home and said, when he got back to camp, he said, we had such a great time. It rained. We had a talent show. And we did Let's Make a Deal. And he goes, we spent $4,000 on a week in the Cape. For $300, we could have gone to a camp for the week. And it was so funny. And so it's cool. It's nice like that.
yeah, other things that we've done over the years, and I don't want to beat the COVID thing up, but we used to do, and we're talking about maybe bringing it back. We used to do overnight. So we're a day camp, but talk about tradition. For years, Peter would offer an overnight where parents could sign up for a small fee, and basically they'd have a real overnight experience, which includes staying late, which is a whole different thing. They stay in their bunks with the counselors, and we have an old-fashioned campfire. They go out, they get a stick, they make s'mores. They get to do a little night swim with lifeguards and everything supervising under the lights, and then they play like cool night games, and then the next morning, we give them dinner. Next morning they wake up, have some cereal, we buy them lunch. It's really old school.
Yep.
And that was something that people talked about, like legendary, because it's just this different experience for
sure.
kids, and you think about
As a 7-year-old, that's got to be
epic.
Yeah.
And and I talk about the time capsule. I don't think there's anything more campy and time capsule than picking your own stick and making your own s'mores by a campfire and hanging out with your friends.
And then go out on the field, lay out during the meteor showers in August.
Yeah.
The kids laid out in the field just watching. You see like 100 meters. It's awesome. Just looking up at the star. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
This is something that's been brought back, or is it still going on?
We just started talking about it. There was,
yeah.
And I mean, again, and this may or may not be important, but COVID changed a lot of regulations.
sure.
When surviving through COVID was difficult. Kids had a mask. You weren't allowed to have a certain number of kids, but also in order to do those sleepovers, the requirements were changed greatly and made it almost impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of red tape. We're looking into it now. I mean, we want to keep that vibe going of somewhere between 75 and 1995. So in that 20-year period of time when there was no iPhone and there was no real wide use of the internet or internet at all, and so I think of that as something like that's precisely what that is.
Yep.
Imagine kids playing soccer with masks on a day like today. We had to wear masks. And the kids,
Yeah, it was
it's so
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was like,
Anyway,
So where can people find you guys? And do you have spots right now available?
yeah,
They
we
want
have
people
some
to-
spots available. We always make sure we at least overstaff to have it. People do sign up through the summer. We can be reached at oakhillcdc@gmail.com. We monitor that, and we're at 54 Oak Street in Foxborough. There's a sign right out front. A lot of people, when they come down, say, I didn't know this was all back here. I mean, I've seen it. I see a little house in the front.
It's funny. I was looking it up, and I'm like, I had no idea this was
Yeah.
here.
There's people that have lived
Yeah.
in town I've lived in town for 50 years,
Right.
and I had no idea, but there's 15 acres carved out of 1985 hanging off Oak Street. That's the best way to reach us is by
I got a
by
golfer
mail.
and shoot. You can
Yeah,
hit balls in the net.
Yeah, we drive the
I got
range.
a putting green, artificial putting green.
Pretty good.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you golf, it's all
yeah.
good.
But yeah, it's
Stop down there.
that's the best way to get in touch with us.
Okay.
Because I don't advertise. Luckily, I fill it from work. I mean, however number of kids I get, I'm fine with. So if I get 100 kids, if I get 150, I'm licensed with 300, but I don't advertise. It's all word of mouth. Because
Right.
usually, what's your kid doing? You you don't want to go to a camp that you don't know anyone that's there.
Right.
So luckily, most of my kids are from, well, when I first started, most of them from Sharon, because I taught in Sharon. I was from Sharon. But now I've got tons of kids from Foxborough, Mansfield, Easton,
Walpole, yeah.
Walpole, yeah.
Yeah, the kids from all over.
Yeah.
I'm trying to market a little.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Andrew's like, I want to grow.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
you know, that's my nature. I just want to, you know, I look at, you know, you see, I've got his granddaughter now, and you know, as a new parent, I have to say, man, is it going to be hard? You know, this parent's like, oh, I'm going to force my kid to watch He-Man and, you know, grow up like I grew up and watch the shows like Who's the Boss and all this. And I'm like, it's going to be really tough to avoid the Miss Rachel and everything that's new and Bluey and all that. But I know for a fact that there's this one thing that could stay the way it always was. And I can say, this is what it was like for Dad.
Right.
You just look around, keep your phone away, just sit there and enjoy it. And take it in, because this is like what life's actually about, not missing stuff.
Right.
And so, yeah, my interest is obviously just keeping it going, getting it success, you know, continued success, and seeing more kids in town. And everybody's going to know everybody eventually. It's amazing how everybody, like we even talking to you today, we're all connected in some way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, Andrew, Peter, thank you guys so much for coming in tonight.
Hey, thank you.
Very welcome.
That was good.
And you can find everything else from us at Foxboro Cable Access at fcatv.org. Thank you so much for watching.